Okay, let me say good evening to everyone. I am going live today to share with you something that I think is very crucial in us being able to help our children as they go to school. And I hope that this short session that I'm going to give you, I want to wish all those students who have gone out to school all the best, and to tell them that as parents we back them, we are with them all the way. All right, so I just want to give you a few tips that I believe would be able to help us to be able to prepare our children's brain for schooling. Let me tell you, your child's brain is the best, one of the best, if not the best ally of your child. It's when children cannot be able to use their memory, they fail exams. And when they are in exam mode and they cannot really apply themselves, recall, then they have some difficulty. I just want to give you a few tips. And I want to use the acronym of ACRA. Number one, help your child to learn to pay attention. You see, the brain has an enormous capacity to store information. It is 2.5 million gigabytes of storage your brain has, the average brain has, whereas your cell phone has about 256 gigabytes. But the brain has infinitely more. But when you are able to pay attention, you are able to apply a number of things. One, the ability to retain, register, and recall. Let me say that again. If a child is able to pay attention, the child is able to retain what the child is learning, register it properly, and recall it. The brain can hold an average of 7 items at any one time, even though it has a mass storage facility. So your cell phone number is 10 digits. Chances are your number the number for your car is 7 and under. So 7 is that number. When children therefore are studying, and this is an advice to parents, when children are studying, don't inundate them with too many things around them that the brain has to register. They should not be studying when the television is on and they are watching at their book and then having to look up at the television. It interrupts the registration of the information that they're having, and they store it in short-term memory because it is overloaded. And then you have conversation of the family going on all around the child. It interrupts that ability to retain the information. And besides that, the child might be studying with their cell phone near them, and every time the notification comes off, they take a glance. That really interrupts it. So the attention is critical. When the child is in class, the teacher usually tells the child, pay attention. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why you pray, you close your eyes, is to put the attention wholly and solely in one area, because the brain cannot handle all of that. If you can help your child, put your child in a room, in a space that is a study space where there is much interruption. I don't believe children should be studying with their music in the ears and listening to stuff inside of it, because all of that filters in. Some people say they concentrate better. Well, yes, they might be able to register it, but how long? Some children say they cram and they do well in exam, but what if the exam is postponed? Can you perform 2 weeks later with the information that you learn? So it is to help them to pay attention. The second thing that we want to help our children to do is to comprehend, understand. Because if we memorize things and a child memorizes things, don't let your child memorize things. Let the child explain stuff. How did the child come to the arithmetic solution to this equation? What is it they did to do it? In fact, some teachers would give you marks if they realize that you understood it, but you got the results wrong. Why? Because they realize the child understands. So my mother, who did not have much of a high school experience, she would ask us to read from the storybook or the reading book that we had in school, and she may not have understood half of what was being read. But after we read it, she would say, close the book. Now explain to me what you just read. If I cannot explain it to her that she can understand it, She knows I don't understand. Those people in the olden days, they had what we call common sense. And common sense really beats a lot of book sense. So we have learned, if you can't explain it, you're going straight back to read that again. And she'll do that all night if necessary while she's washing dishes, and then you come back again and you do it. And when you get the understanding, you can now go back to what you're doing. So attention, help them to understand. And I'm going to explain to you how we could help our children to understand. The third thing that I want us to be able to do is to be able to recall. Recall, the brain stores everything that we know. We fall down on our inability to bring it back to memory. The power of recall means that you have stored it in a place that you can easily locate it when you are ready. And part of recall, we have learned, even from the old time ways, if you repeat something often enough, it recalls easier. If you take a song, an average song that you hear on the radio, most of us don't know the verse of the song. But you see the chorus? We know the chorus. You're in church, you don't know the hymn, but the chorus you know. Repetition. Help your child to repeat things over and over again. That's why we know, even at our age, the ABC that we learned since in primary school, since as toddlers, we knew the ABC and we still have it today because we repeated it so often. We repeated our timetables. If, therefore, you want to help your child, help the child to say things over and over again. And many times when the teachers gave us lines, I still remember the lines. I must not talk in class. I must not talk in class. I must not talk in class. I must not distract students. I must not, because they gave us 100 of those lines. You remember them for today. You see? The power of recall is by repetition. When a child sits down and rush through their homework, but don't take time to reflect, sit back and say, let me repeat everything that I've just learned. And let me find one of my parents or siblings and let me ask them to let me repeat it back to them. That is powerful. That's very powerful. And then you have the fourth. The fourth one is the ability to associate. Association. I paid attention, the child pays attention, the child understands, the child recalls. If the child can put it in a space, in a way that they can associate it, and there are two ways you could associate, and probably more. One is grouping information, and one is trying to bring a story out of the information. And one of the things I try to do is to give children a list of words, 10 words. I may say orange, bicycle, skid, car, video game, banana, house, doubles, cell phone, homework. Invariably, whenever I ask students to recall those 10 items, the maximum they'll recall is 7. Because remember I told you the brain rarely registers up to 7, the average brain. But you want your child to go beyond that. So here's how we try to tell them to go beyond. Group it. Put all the things to eat together and just recall that. So you talk about orange, you talk about banana, you talk about doubles, etc. And you put that. And then you put all the mechanical things, bicycle, cell phone, and all of those inside of another grouping. That helps you to block things off. Or you could put it in an acronym. For example, what I'm teaching you here, attention, comprehend, recall, and association. You can make it as an acronym, ACRA, A-C-R-A, ACRA. And then you can be able to recall it now because it spells out something. So you know, A is attention, C is comprehension, R is recall, and A is association. You see how we get it? So that one, you could group it, but you can also tell a story out of it. So you could group it, you could give it an acronym, or you can tell a story out of it. You can tell yourself, for example, the boy jumped on his bicycle. That was one of the words. And he started to eat a banana. That's the second word. He threw the skin on the ground and the bicycle skid. That was the third one. Skid was the third one. He went to his home and he met his mother. House was one of those. His mother was making doubles. That was one of the words. And you see how it unfolds into a story, and you can go and when we do that, many times people recall all 10 words because it now has a story. So I hope that this helped you, and I hope that this tip is going to not only help the children but also help the parents in being able to understand. Okay? So if you have any questions, feel free to call me. My telephone number, if you think you need some help, I could put on the screen there. The telephone number is 868-688-5363. That is 868-688-5363. All right? I'm Michael Stewart. Thank you very much. God bless you all.